Alright, so we are back with yet another tier list. This is going to be an update to the mech tier list that I made a while back. I do want to say before I get started, I did misplace quite a few things in the last one for the mechs and the weapons. Mostly because of just lack of experience. When I made those lists, it was actually, the mods feature was rather new. So this one should be a bit more accurate, but yeah, I do acknowledge that some of the placements on my last one was totally wrong. But it is going to be based on my own experience, and these are going to be ranked similarly to how I ranked the free-to-play mechs in the free-to-play mech tier list, which is by squad power. Like, let's say, for example, you're playing competitively, like 6,000 to 9,000 SP. What is it that works well in this SP? Which also includes everything above it, right? So that's generally how I'm going to be ranking it, just to give you guys like a baseline. And anyway, yeah, these mechs are arranged alphabetically. So let's just go through them. First up is Aegis. I am going to put Aegis in A tier. It is not quite S. If you're playing against players anyway at like 15,000 SP, dropping an Aegis probably could work. You know, like you could get away with it against some players, but generally speaking, that's not a great idea. The Aegis is not really going to survive. Arachnos. I mean, pretty obviously F. When you first get it, it's really strong, but like by the time you reach even like 2,000 SP, this thing's already garbage. You're not going to be using it after that. Ares, kind of the same deal. It is also not particularly useful pretty soon after you get it. I mean, it pretty much immediately gets replaced by Aegis. Aegis is in the very next tier, and it's just way better. Actually, no, it's two tiers further. But Ares is better than Arachnos, there is that to be said. Bastion. Bastion is B tier. Even though this is legendary and this is epic, I would consider Bastion to be worse than Aegis. It has the highest HP in the game, don't get me wrong. It does. But raw HP isn't going to get you very far. The shield HP is nothing compared to Aegis' shield HP. So you're not actually tankier, you just have more base HP. Not much, like maybe 10% more base HP. Whereas this thing has like 10 times the shield HP. So that's, yeah. Ultimately, this is way tankier. Deathwalker, we're doing all the tanks right off the bat. Easily S. I mean, pretty much everybody saw that coming, yeah. Big surprise there. You kill it, it comes back. You kill it again, it just comes back again. It just over and over and over again, it never stops. It's terrible. Blockhorn. Actually, what is with Mecharena and having tank names start with A or B? Like, that's actually wild. Blockhorn, also B, I would say better than Bastion, but not by a lot. The protection from all sides is what makes Aegis good. Being able to drop it in the middle of basically anywhere and being protected from everything, at least for a little while. That's what makes this good. Blockhorn doesn't have that. It can only protect itself from one side, and for that reason it is less useful in terms of the ability, but it is technically tankier. Brick House. I'm gonna say C. So I think a lot of people get it just because they want to get something that's legendary for credits that they can use to progress into the next tier as quickly as possible. But like you can get weapons for credits for one thing, and for another thing, getting into tier 8 is actually pointless. Like there's nothing that's very good in tier 8. Well, I mean, I guess except for like Starmax 16, it's kind of like the only thing. Next up is Cheetah. I want to put Cheetah in D. It's really bad. It's not like F tier bad, but it's pretty bad. Like, if I'm not mistaken, it has the highest ability DPS, just in general in the entire game. The problem is that the ability has 0 range, and your mech is not tanky, it's not fast, and it's basically impossible for you to survive. It's like a double KO thing. where it's like you spawn this, you're probably gonna die and you're probably gonna kill whoever killed you. But that's about it. You're not gonna go around getting like 5-10 kills with this thing. Which is sad because I think it's fun. Eclipse is top of S tier. This is the most meta mech in the game right now. If you are 15,000 plus SP. Generally, I would say Surge is actually better. And I hold that statement to be true, with the exception of that if you have max or at least high level mods, then Eclipse becomes way tankier and is able to kill all kinds of things that previously would kill it, like Nomad, for example. With no mods or with low level mods, a Nomad generally counters Eclipse. However, since Eclipse is in the highest mod stat group and Nomad is in the mid one, Eclipse actually becomes tankier than Nomad with maxed mods. Which then means that Eclipse does not get countered by Nomad, which just makes it better than everything else. Gatecrasher. Going to put you also in B. It's not great, but it's not terrible. I mean, like, it is definitely usable in this SP range. The stats are great. I just wish the ability did more. I wish it was more useful, and I wish it was, I don't know. It's a really, really good mech on paper, but in practice it just doesn't really hold up. Guardian. I'm gonna say C, and I'm gonna put it above Brickhouse. Maybe controversial opinion. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, Guardian's really good. You know, you can use it higher SP. This is true. You could use it like 12, 15k and maybe do somewhat decently, but I don't think it would be ideal to do that. I don't think you'd do particularly well, and most certainly not everybody should be running it. So I think the place that it fits the best is in the 6 to 9,000 SP range. Hemlock. I'm gonna put in A, probably above Aegis. I would say it's slightly more usable in like the max meta competitive scene than Aegis is, but neither one's specifically ideal. Next up is Juggernaut. Obviously F. It's pretty decent when you get it, I think, if you get it, because it costs 8 coins. You could very easily just skip it. I would recommend skipping it. If you do get it, I think it's halfway decent for a while, but then you just immediately get access to Ares, and Ares is so much better. So there's kind of no point. Next up is a Killshot. I'm going to put Killshot at the top of C. Ideally, you would only use the legendary dash mechs, because those are just like way better. So Killshot's more of like a fill-in. It's just there until you get something better. But it is very good when you get it, and it remains very good until you get the things that are better. So, you know, 6 to 9 KSP range, I think is perfectly fair. Lacewing. I think I put this one in like A or B last time. This is an S. It really is, bro. This thing's stupidly difficult to kill. Like, this is top 5 mech right here. It's crazy. So yeah, I was definitely wrong last time I put this one, but yeah, S tier. Not as good as Eclipse or Deathwalker though. Lancer. I'm gonna say F, below Arachnos, above Juggernaut. I know some people are gonna be like, oh, well, the jump's super useful. You could do X, Y, and Z with it. Yeah, but it has no energy capacity. Like, it has no energy capacity, genuinely. So unless you have like a maxed one, while everybody else is using like rank 4 mechs, this thing's not gonna do very good. It is definitely usable in higher SPs. I mean, I made a video not that long ago where I used a Lancer, a maxed Lancer, in like a 10k SP hangar, I ended up doing pretty well with it, but that does not mean that I could use this competitively at 10k SP. That just means that I got lucky, and I was able to kill a bunch of bots with it, and my opponents were not, like, super meta heavy. That's really all that it means. Next up is MD. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put MD at the back of the line, because it has the same problem. It has no damage output. The HP is moderately respectable, I think. But the heal can be useful, but it's so slow. It doesn't heal very fast, and it requires you to get close, and if you're taking damage, then you're not actually able to heal, which means that you're not able to heal the people who actually need to be healed most of the time. And the mech itself is not particularly fast, so just in general, it has everything going against it. Just very sad. Mimicker. I'm going to put Mimicker in B, above Gatecrasher, but below Bastion. It's like a decent, just like all around, good for most things mech, but it's not like great for anything, and that's kind of the problem. Nomad. Still S tier. It's lost a lot of value because the dash can't like one-shot many things anymore, because it's like, you know, nowadays it'll just take off like a single layer of a multi-layered shield. But it's still really good because it has the damage reduction. It also has like the longest dash in the entire game, so you can get like stupidly far with it. So yeah, still very solid. Onyx. Also B. It's just where like most of the legendary heavy mechs end up being. And by heavy, I mean like 32 energy. Probably better than Gatecrasher. Even though the stats might indicate that it wouldn't be, it just has a more usable, more flexible ability. Orion. I'm also going to put in B, but probably at the top. It's so strong. If you can mark somebody, they are gone. Like, there's basically zero chance that they survive. But at the same time, I can't really put it in like A or S because there's just so many mechs that'll keep it from being marked. Outlaw. So this is the most recent one. I am going to put it in A, not quite S. I'm going to put it at the top of A for now. Above Hemlock, it's really, really useful. If you can crash a like Deathwalker with it, oh god, you'll ruin that Deathwalker's entire day. But it's not super useful against Surges, it's not super useful against Nomads. You can't even hit Eclipses with it if they're in stealth, so all in all, it's not super great against most of the top meta things. Panther. Also A, I'm actually going to put it above Outlaw. Just in general, having an impenetrable barrier is fantastic. Yes, you could get crashed by an Outlaw, but the Outlaw radius is pretty small. So it's like, you could just back up a little bit and your barrier will stay there. Very strong, but not quite S tier because a lot of the things in S tier are able to kill Panthers without a ton of trouble, unfortunately. Paragon. F, better than Juggernaut and MD, probably worse than Lancer. Because, yeah, Lancer does have the jump, it is useful. Paragon is just, it has energy capacity, and that's literally it. It's sort of fast, but like not enough to actually be useful, to be honest. Puma is better than Paragon, but probably still worse than Lancer. Again, energy capacity. The ability shield is nice, even in lower SPs, where the only things that you see are like common and uncommon mechs. Puma's barrier still goes down actually kind of quickly. Redeemer. I am going to put Redeemer in C, above Brickhouse, probably below Guardian though. It's one of those things that like the only reason that you get it is because it's in an earlier Gear Hub tier. Like Killshot's just better, and there's kind of no reason to use both. The only reason you'd get Redeemer is because you're in tier 5 and you need a fast mech, and Killshot's in tier 6, so obviously you don't have it yet. Redox. Also C. Better than Brickhouse, worse than Redeemer, I would say. Redox is not the worst legendary mech, but it's very close to being the worst legendary mech. I think I did put it as the worst at one point, but yeah, no, Brickhouse is a bit less useful. Like, I always get better results with Redox than I do with Brickhouse. Scorpius is in B with all of the other legendary heavy mechs. Like, most of them anyway. Probably at the bottom though. Gatecrasher does just have the raw stats. Scorpius can be really good as like a Helix rack platform, but that's pretty much it. Otherwise, I believe it's the same speed, it has significantly less HP, and the weapon mounts are like really low to the ground, which makes it slightly inconvenient to do certain things. Seeker. Obviously S tier. Not better than any of these other ones, but it is in S tier for sure. I guess to some degree it's similar to Cheetah, where it's like you're basically guaranteed to die against any of the, against any of these stronger things. You're basically guaranteed to die when you teleport, but you can choose who dies, right? As opposed to Cheetah, where it's just like the first guy that comes up to you is gonna kill you, and then you probably kill it. Seeker gets to choose who it goes down with. And that's really strong, because sometimes you just really want somebody gone. Sentinel. Also D tier, but better than Cheetah. Like, there's kind of no reason to get it except for the fact that it costs credits. It's in tier 6. You should already have Aegis from tier 5. Sentinel is immediately worse. You get it, it's immediately worse than Aegis, it really is. It needs a buff, I think. Shadow. Also F, which is very sad. I would say probably better than Arachnos, worse than Ares. It does have abysmally low firepower, but it is very fast and it does have stealth, which can be helpful. Slingshot is basically the kill shot and or nomad of early game. So it's very strong in lower SP ranges. I'm going to put it at the top. Solus is A tier. Very good. Better than Hemlock, worse than Outlaw, I would say. Once again, it is usable in like max meta scenario, but it's not particularly ideal. It will pretty quickly go down to, once again, things like eclipses and stuff will completely ignore it. Surges can sneak up on you, Seekers can get you, and all that kind of thing. But it is very effective, though just, not the most effective. Stalker. I mean, it is arguably better than Brickhouse. It kind of depends on what you're looking for, to be honest. But it is arguably better than Brickhouse, so I think I will put it in C, just above Brickhouse. Surge is S tier, second best mech. So generally, if you're like anything below like 12,000 SP, I would say Surge is better than Eclipse. But again, with the mods, with like high level mods, Eclipse becomes so tanky that Nomads can't counter it anymore. So then Eclipse counters both Nomad and Surge, which makes it just generally better than Surge. Next up is Tengu. I would put Tengu probably above Cheetah, but below Sentinel. It's good. The speed is not fantastic, the HP is not fantastic, but the firepower is really bad. The ability is really nice, but like, I don't know. I would consider Sentinel to be a bit more useful, because at least it has more firepower and it is able to tank a bit more than this can. Vortex is also S tier. Probably better than Seeker. Probably worse than Nomad. Depending on what you want it for, Nomad can be better or worse than Vortex. I personally prefer Vortex over Nomad, but in general, you know, Nomad's got like the crazy speed. And then the last mech, Zephyr. I'm going to also put Zephyr in D tier, but at the top. And yeah, that is going to be it for this list. The numbers might not be super exact, but keep in mind that like Zephyr's not the strongest from 3 to 6,000. Zephyr is the strongest besides all the other stuff that's above it from 3 to 6,000. So that's kind of my thinking. But anyway, yeah, I mean, feel free to rank these yourself. As always, the link to this entire tier list thing with all of these images is in the description. If you want to share the results of your ranking on Discord or something, feel free. The link to my Discord server is also in the description. Please don't ping me with it, though. That's all I ask. And otherwise, yeah. There was a few other mechs that were teased in the last dev vlog, so we might be getting a couple more mechs relatively soon. I probably won't remake the tier list for them. This one I think had 3 of the mechs that I didn't rank last time. I think it was like Mimicker, Deathwalker, and Outlaw. So those 3 are new. I didn't have them in the last list. But otherwise, yeah, that will be it for me. Appreciate y'all. Take care.